Thank you for listening and joining us on the Small Group Podcast. Please give us a like and subscribe. And if you could just share it with someone who you think could benefit from this. Our goal is to grow and learn and be helpful together through honest discussions as we talk the walk.
It's me again, Margaret. This is a Small Group Podcast. I'm Benjamin.
I'm Lacey.
And we're back for another Lacey therapy session sponsored by Dr. Benjamin Harrison. Back talking about the Enneagram. I think we just broached the subject briefly last episode. So Ben's come back to help fill in some more gaps for us.
Back for more.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. Happy to be here.
And real quick, shout outs to Panama City Beach, Florida is leading the way in our, as far as joining the small group, our small group members listening in. Panama City is actually third. Montgomery, Alabama coming in hot, taking the second place. Lynn Haven, Florida. Eva, Alabama. Navarre, Florida. Orlando, Florida. Boardman, Oregon coming back for more, as well as Atlanta, Georgia, and Decatur, Alabama. So thank you guys for joining us. We've just been blown away. We're coming up on 750 downloads. So we really appreciate everybody, how fast this has grown. Please continue to join us and send us your feedback and any questions and comments you want us to tackle, and share it with a friend. And don't forget to like and subscribe and all that. So anyway, business is out of the way. Dr. Ben Harrison, thank you for coming back. You want to get us?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it going.
Jingle bell, jingle yay, jingle good for you.
All right. So today's icebreaker question is just kind of simple. What is your favorite ice cream? So.
Pie.
Boo.
Mashed potatoes.
You like a good ice cream sandwich.
Yeah. I go light on ice cream. I'm not big on. I do like, what's the sorbet stuff? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
In the little clear containers that they have. I like that.
Key lime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm at home, if I'm at Publix,
one's watching.
I'll get a Big Chipper. Have you guys ever heard of Big Chipper? It's like an ice cream sandwich with chocolate chip cookies. Really good.
I'll be right back.
Big Chipper. My favorite ice cream to go get would probably be Jenny's, which we unfortunately don't have here. But you can smell them from a mile away from the waffle cones, and it's the best. I love Jenny's ice cream. Shout out to Jenny's. Please come to Panama City. We need a Jenny's here.
You're going to be joining the Chamber of Commerce soon with all these businesses.
I'm trying to get Jenny's, and I'm trying to get Trader Joe's. Those are my two.
I've never heard of Jenny's. Where is that? Or I don't know. Where's the closest one?
I don't know where the closest one is.
Where have you eaten it, I guess?
All over the world.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. There's for sure one in Atlanta that I've been to. I'm pretty sure they have them in Orlando. There might be one in Tallahassee. I don't know. It's so good, though.
Yeah.
Recommend Jenny's.
Jenny's. Well,
Jenny's.
if I'm getting it from Publix or whatever, my favorite is the Ben & Jerry's half baked.
Classic.
It's so great. Mm-hmm. But I try to avoid it, but a Choco Brownie Extreme Blizzard from Dairy Queen, the
DQ.
We have a Dairy Queen across the road.
Oh,
basically.
no.
So
dangerous.
That comes in handy.
Yes. So, well, and also,
especially going through pregnancies. That
Yes.
definitely came in handy.
it definitely came in handy. But it's also really funny to make Ben go and order it for me because
Yeah.
he's like, it's a what? Like,
Like,
Can you
I'll-
write that down?
I'm simple, especially when it comes to desserts. I'm like strawberry milkshake. That's as fancy as it gets. And then she's coming at me with this Choco Explosion Ultimate, super fantastic. Basically,
Jingle bell, jingle yay,
In a
jingle good
cup.
for you.
but yeah, I think they should know us by now. And I don't even have to order. But Ben, again, thank you for coming back for more punishment.
Here for more. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so starting off this podcast. Okay, I want to.
Now you can start.
Now I'm allowed to start. So I want to kind of start with disclosure that hi baby that I am an Enneagram type 9. My Ben is a type 4. And then Ben Harrison is a type 6. And so we're just, I just want to kind of I don't know.
That's
Sorry.
important context.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
But sorry, I'm so distracted. Okay. So okay. All right. We have the Enneagram. Like when you have your number figured out, how can you use that in your day-to-day life?
Yeah. I think it kind of goes through stages, and everybody probably moves through that differently and in a different order and at a different speed and circle back to things. I think at the very beginning, a lot of it is just developing awareness. You can't heal what you can't name. And so I think learning the Enneagram and learning your number helps to really help with seeing yourself more clearly and seeing the places where maybe you have some work to do. And hopefully, as we are doing that kind of work on ourselves, we are becoming more like the people that we want to be. And that looks really different depending on what your number is. I will say, so again, for context, there's another episode that we already did that kind of is an overview of the Enneagram. So if that is kind of what you're looking for, that'd be another episode. I think it might be helpful for us to talk about stances and to talk about our repressed centers. So I can do a quick run through of that.
Yes, please.
Okay. So in the other episode we recorded, we talked about the breaking up the 9 groups into groups of, or the 9 types into groups of 3 based on our core emotion, which is shame, fear, and anger. Because there are 9, we can break them up into other groups of 3 as well. So another way that those 3 groups can be broken up is to talk about our stance. There are 3 stances within the Enneagram. There is the dependent stance, which some people are trying to change that word because they don't like the word dependent, but we're just going to go with dependent for now. I don't like it either, and it's my stance, but we live with it. Dependent, aggressive, and withdrawing are the 3 stances.
Okay.
Let's start with the dependent stance. Dependent stance is types 1, 2, and 6. And what dependent stance means is not that we're dependent on other people, but just that we are Gabby.
From our live studio audience.
Talking about dependent.
Yeah.
That's one of your dependents. Okay, so the dependent stance, 1, 2, 6.
Okay.
And dependent stance, like I said, doesn't mean necessarily that we're dependent on other people, just that we are kind of more reactive to what's happening with other people, kind of what's happening right in front of our faces in the present moment. So that's the dependent stance. Next after that is the aggressive stance, or some people call it the independent stance, because aggressive can sometimes have a negative connotation. So independent just means they stand independently and they are less influenced by kind of what other people are saying and doing around them. And that is types 3s, 7s, and 8s. And the third stance is the withdrawing stance. And if we talk about the dependent stance as moving kind of alongside people or moving towards people, the aggressive stance moving kind of against people or standing independently, the withdrawing stance is moving more away from people. And that is 4s, 5s, and 9s. So that kind of lays the groundwork for stances. Within those same triads, we can also talk about which of our intelligence centers is repressed. So we all have three intelligence centers, and this is Enneagram wisdom, but it's also just psychology, that like we kind of have three centers of intelligence that we operate from, and that is our thinking center, our feeling center, and our doing center. It could also be like head, heart, and gut. Could be kind of another way to think about it, but let's talk about it as thinking, feeling, and doing. I think is the most helpful place to start. So we go back to the stances, the dependent stance, 1, 2, and 6. And I know this is a lot of like lingo and words and stuff, but like it's going to come together, I think. So just stay with me. The 1s, 2s, and 6s, the repressed center is thinking. Okay. So feeling and doing are really running the show for 1s, 2s, and 6s, and thinking is kind of taking a back seat. For 3, 7s, and 8s, the repressed center is feeling. And so it's really all about thinking and doing, and feelings are taking a back seat. And for 4s, 5s, and 9s, doing is repressed. And so it's all about thinking and feeling. And hopefully I said all of those things right. So all of this is circling back to answer your question by saying, if we can identify which of our three intelligence centers is repressed, then we can kind of know where we have some work to bring up that repressed center and bring ourselves more into balance. So I can talk about that. For my own stance, which is a dependent stance, again, thinking repressed. And so a lot of our work in spiritual development and in just personal development is to bring up that thinking center that is repressed. Our repressed center is the one that we're using least and last. And so we're trying to make our way through the world using feeling and doing and feeling and doing, and we are neglecting thinking. And so one way for us to improve the way that we are moving through the world and to really take full access of all the capacities that we have is to do a better job of thinking. That's for 1s, 2s, and 6s. For 3, 7s, and 8s, it's to go get feelings. 3, 7s, and 8s would prefer not to have to deal with their feelings, most likely, speaking generally. And they can make their way through the world pretty efficiently with just doing and thinking, and they can think pretty clearly and they can get a lot of things done. That's what 3, 7s, and 8s are best at, but sometimes feelings get left behind in that process, and so they end up out of balance without feelings. And so a lot of their work is to go find their feelings. And for 4s, 5s, and 9s, they make their way through the world with thinking and feeling, and doing tends to get repressed. And so some of their work is to go get some things done. 4s, are really only interested in doing what they think is interesting. And so for 4s, their work is to maybe do some things that are not necessarily interesting to them, but they still need to get done, even if they're not interesting. 9s are doing a lot of things all the time, just maybe not the thing that they need to be doing.
Get off my toes, Jen. Thank you.
And so some of the work of 9s is to try to focus their doing on, again, what needs to be done. So that's kind of an overview of stances and repressed centers.
Well, okay, all right. Let me ask you this: what does healthy spiritual growth look like versus simply embracing our type? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, again, there are kind of phases I think that you go through with kind of uncovering your Enneagram and your number and your personality. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the early phase of like seeing funny memes on Instagram and being like, oh, that's so me. And like that can be fun and can be like entertaining in a lot of ways. But if that's all that we're using the Enneagram for, we're not really using it. That's not growing us anywhere. That's just like something funny to laugh at. And like you said, kind of just like embracing, oh yeah, this is my personality. And our personality is not who we are, right? Our personality is like something that we put on. We put it on when we're very young. And so we kind of think it's who we are. But really there's like a true self that's hidden underneath that. And I think the spiritual work that we're talking about here is to try and not be so consumed by our personality, because our personality kind of gets us into trouble, right? That's why we're having this whole conversation, is like these habits and these cycles that we get stuck in of our personality are the patterns that we're trying to break free and get out of. And so if we're just like focusing on talking more about our personality and like using it to just describe ourselves more, that can be helpful maybe in understanding each other, but it doesn't really lead to personal growth or spiritual growth because it's just a description. And so there's a deeper level of Enneagram wisdom to get to take it to the next level of being something that's actually transformative for you.
Right. Okay, so what kind of spiritual discipline? I know we don't have time to go through all 9 types for every little question, but just like what are some spiritual disciplines that are beneficial for like, like each stance or each, whatever.
Yeah. I think probably the best way I can answer that is to say like anything that helps you to bring up what your repressed center is. So for 1s, 2s, and 6s, something that helps you to access thinking. For 4, 5s, and 9s, something that helps you access doing. And for 3, 7s, and 8s, something that helps you access feelings. I think those can be helpful spiritual practices. I think some spiritual practices are probably just good for everyone. I am a big proponent of like contemplative prayer, and I think you guys talked to Lauren Matthew and Lauren about contemplative practices, but like I think there are some practices like contemplative prayer that are helpful for everyone. But and just like trying different things and seeing what works for you. Like I don't think it's necessarily prescriptive by type of like what practice you should be doing.
Right. Well, and I mean, because we're told to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And so I think that Matthew actually did a study on this on Wednesday nights once, where he like went through, like love the Lord your God with all your heart and your feelings and, and then your mind and how you apply knowledge and all the things. And so breaking down each type, I think is so, because I've never really thought about it that way, breaking down each type. And so for me as a 9, focusing on love the Lord your God with all your strength.
Yeah.
Would probably be.
Yeah, because we are all created with all 3, thinking, feeling, and doing. And I think we should be doing our best to utilize all of them, but our personality tends to have one of the 3 that we are less experienced at using. At the same time, because we haven't really been using it so much, it hasn't been as kind of beat up by the world. And so whenever you do access like really good doing, it's like a really pure version of that, because it's kind of been protected and sheltered by like your thinking and feeling have been like kind of leading the charge for, your whole life. And so your doing has kind of been tucked away in the back seat. And when it like comes up to the front, it's like, oh wow, like it's really impressive and exciting and can be really impactful.
Awesome.
Visit our website, smallgrouppodcast.wordpress.com, to find more information about us, past episodes, guests, and all the ways to listen. You can also contact us through our website to let us know of any questions or topics you want to bring to the group. Visit smallgrouppodcast.wordpress.com.
All right, this is just kind of I'm gonna squirrel a little bit. This is kind of a random question, but one of my just random pet peeves is when people say like, "Oh, I can't help it. That's just my personality." How can we avoid that?
Yeah. I think it's one of the dangers of like Enneagram meme culture is it can just become like an excuse builder of like you said, like, oh, I can't help it. This is just who I am. Like, this is my personality. If you don't like it, then like too bad, but this is who I am. I'm not changing, right? And that's not the goal, obviously. I think hopefully we can have more compassion for people and understanding their personality. We can have grace for people who, like, maybe by knowing their Enneagram number, we have more grace for those instances where that does happen. But our responsibility as people is to like acknowledge where we can do better and then to try to do better. And to me, it's a joint responsibility of both parties, like for you and me, for me to acknowledge the challenges that come with my sixness and the way that impacts how I'm treating you, and try to be healthier in my number so that I am treating you better. And from your side, to have compassion for me in my sixness, that even when I'm trying my best, I'm still a 6 at the end of the day. And so that's going to come across in the way that my behavior comes across. And we're meeting in the middle of like, I'm trying to be the best version of myself, and you're having grace for me in the ways that I can't always do that.
Right.
Yeah. But neither of us is using it as an excuse to just behave poorly and treat people poorly, because that is an abuse of this wonderful tool. Yeah.
Well, and one thing that I love about the Enneagram is, like, especially when the people that you do life with, when they start to learn about the Enneagram and they're like, oh, I'm a 4, I'm a 6, and you're able to figure out how those people tick a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm not going to go to the 6s in my life and be like, hey, let's talk about how the world is coming to an end. Like, and so you kind of figure that out. But like how can we use it better to, relate to people and
Yeah.
I don't know, be better human beings?
Yeah. Well, the 6s are already thinking about how the world is coming to an end, so you're not telling them anything they don't already know. But I think that's one of the most helpful gifts of the Enneagram, and why it is really helpful when the people in your life kind of start doing their own work and uncovering their number. And you can't force that on someone to kind of engage with it and plug into it, but when they do, it can be really helpful in relationships, and just being able to have more, I think, have conversations that are less clouded by miscommunication and like misunderstanding from coming from such different perspectives. And hopefully our awareness of our own patterns of behavior and our personality are helping us to slow down and not just react the way that we always react. And regardless of if the other person knows the Enneagram or knows their number or is, trying to engage with that or not, like, my own work is trying to not just respond in these pattern of sixness that has gotten me through a lot of life, and I'm grateful for it, but has also gotten me into trouble at times and has been harmful at times. And so I am trying to not just fall into the same patterns again, and trying to slow down and be more intentional about making different choices than just the automatic patterns that my personality would lead me to.
So what type do you think is like the most misunderstood?
I really think 8s are the most misunderstood. Yeah, I think 8s. I think 4s are difficult to understand, but like they're kind of embracing that. Like that's kind of intentional in their part, I also think selfishly I would say 6s are misunderstood, but I think probably 8s are the most misunderstood, in that they're the disconnect between how their behavior is perceived and what their intention is can be so vast, and people can be very judgmental and critical of ways that eights come across, which can be very angry and authoritative, and a lot of times people don't respond well to that. And it goes back to kind of what I said about us all meeting in the middle of, like, we have to have more understanding and compassion for the ways that eights are coming across.
Mm-hmm.
And eights have a responsibility too of kind of being aware of how they're coming across, and being aware of the effect that the energy that they bring into the room, understanding how that impacts other people. And we can, again, kind of all meet in the middle there of, they're going to try to maybe be a little bit more, what's the word here? A little bit more intentional about how they express all of that energy in a room. And all of us that are not eights are going to be a little bit more aware that just because it feels like anger doesn't necessarily mean that they're angry. It might just be intensity, might just be energy, and they care a lot about the thing they're talking about. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're angry or they're coming after us, or, we don't have to respond in fear.
They're very passionate.
They are very passionate. Yeah.
And they are very, this is right and this is wrong. And why doesn't everybody else see that?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I do love about the eights in my life, they are fiercely protective.
For sure.
And it's so funny because, like, even they'll be protective of, like, total strangers,
Mm-hmm.
but
and they care a lot about justice. And if they perceive an injustice, especially on the behalf of someone that they care about, like, you want an 8 on your side to fight against the injustice that's been done to you. Like, that's who you want on your team.
Absolutely.
But we don't necessarily all have the same definition of what injustice is, right? And so, like, that's where we can get into trouble a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm just going to use my mom as an example again. She's my favorite 8. I love her so much, but she will get mad over, like, if somebody makes a comment about about me or my brothers or whatever. She will stay mad about it for a decade, and we're just like, wait, who said what?
Mm-hmm.
And but she is so protective, and again, she cares so much about justice and about this is right, this is wrong. It is black and white. There's not a lot of gray with her. And the thing, and I'm so thankful for the Enneagram, because now it's like, oh, I get it now. Like, my whole childhood makes more sense now.
Yeah.
But again, we're going to turn this into a part-time therapy session. Give me some tips on being married to a 4, because right when I think I've got him pegged on something, he changes his mind, or he. Well, I don't know if he changes his mind. Like,
it's called being full of surprises.
So, sure.
Well, full disclosure, I'm not a therapist. But I would say ask a 4 and would be my first answer, because no one can describe a 4 like a 4 can. I think it's a really unique perspective. But I have a lot of compassion for 4s. I think it is. I would imagine it's a unique burden to, the kind of wounding message of a 4 is that there's something intrinsically missing or something intrinsically wrong, that everyone else has figured out that they're the person that is missing it or hasn't got that piece of the puzzle. And that just sounds really hard to me. And so I have a lot of compassion for 4s. I think that would be really difficult. I really enjoy 4s because of the depth that they bring, which I think is, like, I don't like a lot of chit chat and small talk. Like, I want to get to, like, some real conversation, and I know that I can get that by going to a 4. They're going to go straight into the deep end with me, which is really great if that's what you're looking for. Not everyone's looking for that. And so if you are a 4 and you grab somebody and dive into the deep end with them and they were wanting to go to the shallow end, that can make people uncomfortable. And so I think that's where 4s can sometimes get in trouble a little bit with that, of just like wanting to go straight to the deep end. And some people need to start in the shallow end and kind of like wade in to get to the deep end with you. And I think what you're saying of like, just when you think you've got it figured out, it's something else. I think that's very 4. And I think maybe just learning to enjoy, live in the mystery of that. And I don't know, that's probably not very helpful.
Well, no, it is kind of funny because like even like down to like his coffee order will change. And I'm just like, I thought that you liked that. Anyways, it's just funny. But no, Summer Livingston is another 4 that I love so much. And she'll say, I'm sorry, I'm going to dive into the deep end. And I'm like, I can go there with you.
Yeah.
My automatic response isn't.
Yeah.
But hold my hand and I can go with you.
Yeah.
And I can jump in with you, but you got to leave me there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And they are great guides for that. Like 4s are so comfortable there that if you are wanting or needing to go there, like a 4 is a great person to accompany you. If you are going through something really hard and you need somebody who can sit with you in your grief or your harder emotions, call a 4. Like a 4 is generally ready to sit in the hard with you. They're not going to be scared of big feelings and big reactions and emotions like that. That's their bread and butter. And so 4s can be really, really helpful in those type of situations too.
Well, and that is one thing that I am very grateful for my 4, because like you talked about on the previous episode with 9s, how we will let it build and let it build and let it build, and then it'll burst.
Yep.
And every single time he's been able to handle it. Yeah. And usually ice cream is involved. but he is able to handle it. Like when the big feeling, because I'm pretty good about managing my feelings for the most part. But when the big feelings do come, he's able to handle it every single time.
Yeah.
So we do love our 4s.
We love 4s. Yeah.
So, okay, well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
What is something you wish people would understand about being a 6?
Oh, so many things.
So much. Yay! Yay. Let's dive into this then.
Have any questions or any topics you would like us to discuss, or just have comments about anything we discuss here at Small Group? Then please email us at goat.bear.lobster@gmail.com. You can also reach us at our website, smallgrouppodcast.wordpress.com. Find more on how to reach us in the podcast description.
I think that a lot of people, when they first learn the Enneagram, all they really get from 6s is fear. And fair enough. Like that's a lot of what we've got going on is fear. It's our core emotion. It's our passion, are both fear. So we've got a lot of fear going on. I think there can kind of be a stereotype of 6s that we are all doomsday preppers, and that I've got like lots of food stocked somewhere in a bomb shelter. Like I don't know. Like,
do you?
No, I don't. I don't. I know some people who do, but I think that becomes like the stereotype of 6. And I think that's like with any number that gets reduced to a stereotype is not a full representation, obviously, of the person. I also think, like, for me, something that's been really helpful and maybe this will be helpful if there are any 6s that are listening, like there's so much talk about fear and anxiety, right? And then it's like, okay, well, what do I do with that? And it's like, well, don't be anxious. Don't worry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? Thank you. That's so helpful. I'm just going to stop being anxious.
Yes. Just
I'm
stop.
I'm
just
cured.
turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that is not helpful. It helped me to like be aware of my anxiety, but like that's not helping me to be less anxious. And something that is also true of sixes is that we don't trust ourselves. And that's really the root of a lot of our fear and anxiety, is that we don't trust ourselves. And to me, that is something that I can work on. Like I can help myself learn to trust myself more. I can learn from experiences. I can look back at my past when I have been in a difficult situation and I have been able to find my way through it, get myself through it, and use the resources that I have to make it to the other side of something. And I can look back at that situation and say, oh, okay, I did that before. So why don't I trust that I have the resources to be able to get through whatever this is that's in front of me? Because what six's worst case scenario thinking is all about planning for all these potential outcomes, because I'm trying to plan for them because I don't trust myself to handle it when it happens. And so when I catch myself doing that, to say, okay, let's think about when I've been in a similar situation before that I was able to get through, and then let me work on trusting myself to get through whatever's coming next. And I don't have to plan for all these potential possible outcomes. And I was talking to a close friend of mine recently. It was Lauren Morgan. I think she doesn't care if I say that. And she knows me very well. We've talked about the Enneagram a lot. And I was expressing to her, it was after the silent retreat. I'll just tell the whole story. I don't need to be like coy about it. It was after the silent retreat, and I shared with the group that I had had some doubts about bringing this thing to the group and to the church, and I had some fear about that, and I had a lot of just not trusting myself and my instincts that this was something important and something that we should do. And I told her afterwards. She came up to me and she was like, that the reality of me still not trusting myself and all of that, it doesn't come across. And several people said that to me at the silent retreat after I shared that, of people don't know. The moral of the story is people don't know what's happening inside of you. Right?
Right.
I can project all the confidence in the world, and people can buy that. And I can sit here and talk to you all these things about the Enneagram and sound really self-assured and I really know everything. And the reality is I am doubting myself the whole time. I am questioning, my ability to really communicate all this information well. And am I saying everything correct? And, all of these things, I can still have a lot of self-doubt about that. That may not come across. And so our perception of people can be really different than what's happening in their internal landscape. And I think a lot of people don't know that about sixes. That was a really long-winded answer to that question.
No, that I am here for all of it.
Yeah.
And we have talked about the silent retreat on here, and I think that I did it just to see if I could be quiet that long. I want to do it every weekend. It was, I am so grateful that you and Lauren did that, because it was huge. It was huge for me, especially as a mom with a busy toddler, as you see, being able to sit with my Bible and my journals and be able to sit on the back porch and watch the birds. And I don't get to do that.
Yeah.
And so that was huge for me. And so, no, I had the self-doubt never came across to me. So I had no idea that you were struggling with that.
Yeah.
But I am so grateful that you were able to not let that self-doubt win.
Right.
Because that made a huge impact on me.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
So yes, I definitely appreciate that.
Thank you. And all of that comes a version of myself that wasn't aware of that would have let the self-doubt win and wouldn't have done it at all, because I would have talked myself out of it and convinced myself that I didn't have the skills to do that. I wasn't the right person to do it, or this wasn't the right group, or it's not the right time. I for sure could have talked myself out of it.
Mhm.
But because I can now like start to recognize that for what it is, it helps me to catch myself and again break out of the patterns of my personality.
So silent retreat next weekend. So
We've got another one in the works. So
Yeah.
yeah, stay tuned.
well, okay, so I just gonna kind of roll with it. Things that I wish that a 9 or
Yeah.
like wish I could say just as a 9. Like I wish people would understand this. When you ask us what we want to eat and we say we don't care, we for real don't care. Like we don't. We will find something.
Mhm.
But if we say, I really want sushi, and you ignore that, that really hurts us because it's like we finally expressed an opinion
Yeah.
and you ignored it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but in that moment,
No,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the wounding message of it for a 9 is that your presence doesn't matter. And so when you express something like that and it gets ignored, then it like pushes into that wound of like, oh yeah, I guess my presence doesn't matter because you have completely ignored what I wanted.
right.
And you are always harassing me about having an opinion. And I finally have one. And this is why I don't have an opinion because you don't hear it when I do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I'm always saying, like, that's not a hill I'm going to die on.
Yeah.
That's not a hill I'm going to die on.
Yeah.
And I will say that 20,000 times. I do have hills that I will die on, though. Like, when it comes to, just for an example, like the church. If the church changes its carpet, I don't care.
Mhm.
I do. If they put in hot pink carpet, I would just be like, okay.
Okay.
Like the church looks like Pepto Bismol now. That whatever, I'm gonna roll with it. It's not gonna keep me from worshiping. If we stop teaching scripture, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so I do have hills that I am willing to die on.
I think the pink carpet would be the end for me. I'm going to be honest. No, I'm just kidding. You know what the most stubborn number on the Enneagram is? I'll give you one guess. It's 9.
No.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So stubborn.
Really?
So stubborn.
Okay, I'm going to need to explain this a little bit more. What? Because I feel like I try to be very like go with the flow,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah, we need to bring your husband back in here. I bet he would agree with me.
Oh.
9s are so good at digging their heels in. It's not going to be aggressive. They might not even tell you. They might even tell you that they did change their mind and they're going along, but inside they are committed to whatever they said and whatever they're digging their heels in, and they're going to passive aggressive their way back to what they want. You're going to end up getting sushi.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna struggle with that for the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is when it comes to like holidays and get-togethers and whatever, please recognize that we are trying to please everybody.
It's
And
exhausting.
it is.
Yeah.
And so, like, especially like, we're trying to see all the family members. We're trying to make all the family members happy, and we're trying to spend time with our friends, and we're trying to we're trying to make everybody happy. And it's like nobody gets that, and so everybody's trying to guilt trip us, and it's like, I need y'all to stop.
Yeah.
Because I'm just gonna go sit in the corner and cry,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
So can I say what your work is there?
Yes, please.
Your work is to accept and acknowledge that you don't have to do that. It's not your job to keep everybody happy. That's not your responsibility.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
What?
It's not. That's not your
Ah.
job. Everyone else's happiness and camaraderie and getting along is not Lacey's job. Believe it or not.
You want to know something funny?
Mhm.
You're not the first person to tell me that. So, okay, our four is back just in time to let's dive into the deep end for just a minute. So, back in 2020,
Mhm.
had a miscarriage and had to go into the hospital for a DNC. I convinced myself that everybody in that hospital was having a bad time because it was right in the middle of COVID.
Mhm.
And so I said that it was my job to make everybody in that hospital happy. And I told the best jokes of my life that day. And I mean, I had people rolling. I was so proud of it. And I was like, why is nobody recording this? This is awesome.
I'm killing it.
Yes. And so later, like I was telling somebody about it and cause I was like, oh, this, this really funny thing. And he was like, no, that was not your job that day.
No.
And I was like, yeah, it was. It was my job to make everybody happy. And it was like, no, that was not your job.
No.
So honey, welcome back. Thank you for getting Gabby down. But the other Ben just said something very, very interesting that I do not believe.
I'll just ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Lacey's stubborn? Careful. He's thinking.
Well, I mean,
it's a trick question.
We're all stubborn in a way. I mean, relatively speaking, no. I mean, she's probably like if you were to rank all the people you know from most stubborn to least stubborn, she's probably towards the bottom of that list. But there are some things that she can probably be pretty staunch on.
Okay, interesting. Lacey, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Whenever you're talking about being at the hospital,
yeah,
what was it really important that everyone there liked you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the perfect patient that day. That like I didn't want anybody to go home and be like, oh, this girl was the worst.
Why does that matter to you? Or do you remember why that mattered to you at the time?
I just wanted to make everybody there happy. That was just like the only thing that I could think of was that I wanted. Well, Ben was in the parking lot, and I called his best friend, and I was like, I need you to go to the parking lot and take care of him. And I'm taking care of everybody else in the hospital, and I'm trying to make everybody happy. So that was all that I could think about.
Do you always feel that responsibility that everyone needs to be cared for, and you're the one that has to oversee that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I don't know. It's one of those, I don't know. I have this weird thing where it's like, if somebody in the room is not happy, it's my fault. If it's raining, it's my fault. And I will do anything. I will do a backwards rain dance to make it stop raining and to make the sun come back out. It's just one of those. I've just kind of always felt like that. I've just wanted everybody in the room to be happy, and when they're not, then it's my fault.
And does that make you feel like they don't love you, want you in that situation? Like if you perceive that someone is dissatisfied for some reason, how does that make you feel about like their feelings towards you?
That they don't want me anymore. Yeah. They don't want me in the room. They don't want me at their table. Like, go sit somewhere else. So,
have you? Can I?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you've done any reading around type 2.
I don't think I am a 2, just because the 2s that I know have a superpower where your mom is really good at this. She knows exactly what I need before I know what I need.
Yeah.
And like
Talk about my mom.
Yes.
But you also could be talking about your mom.
Yes. No, Miss I love Miss Kathy so much. But like one of my best friends, Danielle, is a nurse, and she's same superpower where it's like she knows what I need before I need it. And so I don't.
Okay. Just wondering.
See, he does that to me too. Just when I feel like I figured it out, he'll give me that look, and I'm like,
sorry.
Okay, all right. So
that hospital story is just really, really sticking with me, and I think it's
yeah.
I'm just asking questions.
So so where
she's like, can we talk about something else, please?
Yes, literally anything else. But no, we're talking about what is something that you wish people knew and understood about being a type 4?
Leave me alone. I don't know. That's a tough question. there's a lot that I relate to on being a 4. But I don't know that I'm trying to pin down on that like one single thing. I think one thing I struggle with is the first impression stuff. And even like in college, some of my best friends from college and fraternity brothers, they will tell you outright they did not like me when they first met me. I'm terrible at first impressions. And even when I'm speaking, I feel like people will jump the gun on where they think I'm going. One, I know that I get long-winded, and I think that's part of it, is where I'm trying too hard to be fully understood instead of just getting to my point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to paint a picture and slow walk it. And a lot of times I get frustrated because people, I think, often assume where I'm going with it and miss the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I know that could be on me as far as perceiving that in them.
You have a fear
Again, that's the best way I can sum that into.
Do you have a fear of being misunderstood?
I don't know that it's so much a fear as maybe a frustration, which I may be splitting hairs there, but it feels more like a frustration that I'm just not being heard, or
like yourself is not being seen, or like the information you're trying to communicate is being like not
more
translated.
More so the information. And I noticed that maybe it's part of being a little brother too. Nothing against my brother, but that's just, he's always been bigger, he's always been, so it's like, I feel like you kind of have to work a little harder to be heard. A lot of times, sometimes, and I'm not trying to be over dramatic or anything like that, but because I even noticed before I discovered the Enneagram, trying to figure this out, because I noticed, because I moved away from college, whereas my brother, he stayed relatively home. He stayed home, started a family a lot earlier than I did. I moved away. I needed to branch out, and because I come from like back home, we have a very extensive family. Like everybody knows the Maxwells in Somerville, the Maxwells in Eva, the Maxwells in Priceville. It's like you can't go anywhere without being so and so's son, so and so's brother, so and so's grandson, and so.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't know anything about that, but so that's part of why I wanted to branch out and and kind of be kind of really discover who I really was outside all that. So I did notice, even so, through college, my first career, and then moving down to Panama City, even through we're talking like 7-8 years span, I was still trying to. That's when I really started to notice, like, I am trying too hard to be understood, or I get frustrated. I think I've gotten better at it now. I'm not as bad as, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but it's like I would get really frustrated when I wasn't being taken serious or being fully heard.
Mm-hmm.
Because like what I observe and what I perceive, I feel like I'm also trying, I think there's a little bit of two there as far as I'm trying to analyze all sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see where they're coming from. I can see where they're coming from. And the disconnect seems very simple and very, very basic, but it doesn't get identified, because I think you kind of alluded to it in the last episode as far as, we just butt heads without trying to look for a resolution or look for any kind of compromise. And so like I try to do that as far as there's a solution here, and if you boil it down to its most basic fundamental level, and that's really what I try to get at. But a lot of times I think I get frustrated because I can't get to that point. It's like, and when I say things, I jump the gun because I feel like I know how I'm being perceived, and it's like, wait a minute, you're putting me in this box, but don't put me in that box yet.
Right.
I'm just, hear me out.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that made sense.
Yeah.
No, nobody can understand when I'm. What was the question?
What is something that you wish people would understand about being a 4?
I wish I understood.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it's just a part of me. I really tried to analyze this, and like, I think a lot of it is on me as far as maybe I'm thinking too deeply about my thoughts and and the points I'm trying to make, and a lot of times I check myself because like I feel like I'm breaking new ground. I'm seeing a solution here that's getting ignored, and nobody else is bringing it up. But maybe I'm just behind. Everybody's moved on from that. You know, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough question to answer simply. It's so complex.
Sure.
And that goes back to like when I was discovering the four. It's like I was having all these feelings. I just didn't know how to pinpoint them or even. This has been my problem for a long time, is being able to put into words, you know, my frustrations and thoughts. And I think maybe that's part of what led to a change. You know, we talked about, I felt like I was a 7 for the longest time. Moving into a 4, maybe as I was identifying better of feelings maybe I was suppressing or something like that.
Well, and talking about the complexity, like you have a draw towards the complexity. Like the complexity is interesting to you. You want to, you're spending time in the complexity because that's intriguing to you and that's energizing to you, right?
Yeah.
Of like, you want to get into the complexity of it and like spend time just like sitting in it and like, let me really like get into the depth of this thing. And not, there are, we talked in the last episode about like the pace of life. Like most people don't have the ability to slow down and like sit in the complexity of something. Yeah. And so by the time you have like spent your time being like, they've moved on. Right. Yeah. And so then it's like, wait guys, come back. Like I want to talk about this some more. And everybody else is kind of like, moved on to the next thing. And
that part gets frustrating.
Yeah.
Too, like in college, I discovered language and linguistic anthropology, and that's what I really studied, and it's so fascinating to me. And to me, a lot of our perception and observation, understanding, even misunderstandings, all boil down. Most of the time, I think majority of the time, boil down to definitions. And I can talk your ear off about language, linguistic relativity. I think is the key to it all. Nobody cares. Bless her heart, my wife has heard diatribe on speech in the car of just going on and on, me trying to understand all this. And to me, it's simple. I know I don't make it sound simple, but it's like the all of the disconnect in the resolutions like right in front of us. Mm-hmm. It's the sounds we make with our mouth. It all boils down to that, and how you perceive the sound versus how I perceive the sound. And it all comes back to that.
And sometimes we really need someone to be able to do the complexity and like sit in like sometimes that's a really important skill and we need someone to do that. And the rest of us need to like have the patience to like turn around and be like, oh wait, we need to go back to this thing. Like we skipped over this complexity and the complexity was really important. And you have had the patience to like sort through some of that and try to help us all see it. And like there are times when that complexity maybe wasn't as important and like we need like real life to happen and like there are things that need to be done and trash needs to be taken out, and so it's not that like one is good and one is bad. It's just like we've got both and it's trying to find the balance and have the awareness to know like when that is necessary and important and when it is getting in the way of like your life and relationships or whatever.
That's where a lot of the frustration comes from is like, I don't feel like I'm not very eloquent. I'm not eloquent enough. Cause like in contrast, like the Enneagram, you dive real deep into a lot deeper than I dive into that particular subject, but you're a lot better at communicating it. That interest or that fixation, whatever, passion is better. You're better at communicating that than me. And that's where I get frustrated is like, I'll dig in deep to try to understand, and I get all this knowledge and information, and I've always felt like I've got all the answers up here, but they're just locked away, and nobody is ever going to be able to discover them. But I'm not trying to boast but that's just kind of in a way how it feels, and it's like I can't communicate properly to where, linguistic relativity. When I discovered that, it's like, does your language influence your behavior? Or does your behavior influence your language? That just like blew my mind and changed everything. But when I say it to other people, they're like, okay. Like,
well, you
and that's where it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
You have this thing where it's like you're pointing out solutions to problems that we didn't even know existed.
Well, sorry.
So no,
Well, I used to in college in a sociology class. There's these two guys that sat in front, and I used to drive them crazy because we talk about social issues. To me, the solution's simple. It all comes down to money. Everything comes down to money. You can tie, religious feelings to it. You can tie whatever feelings to it. But at the end of the day, you take money out of it, and then that fixes everything. The solution is clear to all the social issues to me, and I've tried to even kind of write it out to make it more simple or understandable. I used to drive these two guys in my class crazy because every time a social issue would come up or political issue, they're like, "Let me guess, it's money.
It's money.
It's all money. That's all it boils. You take that out of the equation, that's it. You got nothing else to go to." But anyway,
okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
I want to know, is this a 4 thing or is this a Ben Maxwell thing?
a psychopath thing.
No, his superpower is like he thrives on authenticity and genuineness.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody in the room is being fake, he does not have time for it. He can see straight through it.
Yeah.
He can read somebody and size people up super fast. Is that a 4 thing or is that
4s are all about authenticity. That's like everything comes down to authenticity for 4s.
I've noticed being very sensitive to agendas, especially within the church.
Yeah.
If I feel like a certain agenda is being pushed, I don't want to deal with agendas.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with specific focuses on one particular thing. I want, that relational, as far as church goes, relationship with God. That and an authentic, true. Like I get very sensitive when I feel like I'm getting when I see repetitive phrases, especially, and that's where flags start to go up, and I start to get a little concerned. But to kind of put it this way too, I look at my dad because I feel like as much as I try to fight it, I am turning into my dad and his dad before him.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is an electrical engineer. He's a rocket scientist, literally, and if you try to talk, heaven forbid, you try to talk to him, ask him what he's working on.
Yeah.
He designs power systems for the Artemis rocket, to put it simply. But if you ask him that, it's anybody that knows an engineer, you get the engineer.
You get a longer answer.
Very technical, a lot of acronyms. And the best way I can kind of perceive it is like where he's at in his mind is in math and science, in engineering, those kind of things. My brain's never been able to really conceive or conceptualize those kind of abstracts, like science, like molecules and all that. I can kind of understand it, but I struggle to really. That's where we kind of diverge because I went more towards. I can perceive more on the emotional and cultural really. Anthropology is where I went in history. And it's so like I can apply it there. Just to kind of like give an example, like my dad, who he's never been a full-time preacher, like professionally, but he preaches quite a bit, teaches classes. He's very, he's been an elder. I have a degree in social science, and he used to give me that. Well, social science, that's not a real science kind of thing. I'm like, well, Dad, what do you think you preach on every Sunday? It's social science. It's anthropology. But that's where we kind of diverge. But at the same time, it's like, imagine an engineering brain, but just focused away from the engineering part and more towards the cultural stuff. And that's what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Anyway. Wow, this is a therapy session I walked into.
It is.
I'm telling you, if you're going to get into the Enneagram, you gotta be ready. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's difficult, and it's good to do it with other people too.
Real quick, let me ask you this, because this is where I get super excited. It probably shows in the podcast where I get really passionate, and it's hard to hold back.
Yeah.
And I'll jump in and keep going. One thing that is like taxing to me is, well, like with Matthew, who we've had on the show, our preacher. I love Matthew, and I feel like I can talk to Matthew in depth, one-on-one, on a lot of different subjects. But I always feel afterwards, and even like talking in class or something, I get so excited and I just go for it and I start talking, and then afterwards I just feel so like depleted and vulnerable because I just put myself out there.
Yeah.
And if I messed up, they're gonna think bad of me. Is that a 4 thing or is that a guy thing? Because like that vulnerability thing, that's where I really struggle is afterward.
I think some of it's just a human thing. I think it's Brene Brown that calls it a vulnerability hangover.
Yeah, that's a great term for it.
And yeah, I for sure have had my fair share of experiencing that, and
Really?
I think it's very normal to like you put yourself out there, and like I think maybe what changes for each of us is like what qualifies as vulnerability. So like that might be different between number, but like if we experience something as vulnerability, I think it's very normal to like have even like regret or remorse, or I said too much, or I shouldn't have said that, or I revealed too much about myself, or I could have said that. You know, that looks different for each number, but I think that's a very normal response.
A lot of it, I feel like, is a fear of being unpleasant or annoying or obnoxious. I guess it goes back to authenticity. I don't want to seem like I'm being authentic, like I'm genuine about what I'm talking. You know, that when that passion, when we hit something I'm passionate about, when we hit something, we're talking about something I'm not passionate about.
Yeah,
I don't engage. Kind of thing. But Matthew, in his own way, and he probably doesn't know it, but he's helped me a lot there because I've been able to communicate. You know, we get a long drive home from church, so after I get done talking with Matthew after church, and we're driving home, and I'm thinking, man, I came across this way, I came across, and that, and I'll text him, not so much as I used to, because he's really helped me. I'll text him, I'm sorry if I came off this way, I came off that way. No, man, you're fine. You know, you're good. So it's like, in his own way, he's kind of helping me through it, and it makes me realize I'm obsessing too much over this or whatever.
Yeah, and we can all get in our heads about like how we're perceived or how we, like our perception of how we're perceived, and like it's really easy to get all tangled up in that. Not for everyone. I think there are some numbers that probably don't deal with that as much.
Yeah, some of them, there's hard to imagine some of those.
Like a 3, 7, and an 8, I would say probably are not dealing with that as much. But generally speaking, I think that's
those 3, 7s, and 4s. You know, those folks. Sometimes I can't help but feel like afterward, maybe they're stirring it up just because they don't deal with it afterward. And they know I do, and they're inflicting it on me sometimes. But
they're just always moving forward, and they're it must be nice.
Yeah. So how do we become a 3, 7, or 4?
3, 7, 8.
Sorry, 3, 7, 8.
It's
Sorry,
okay.
4s.
You are a 4.
Sorry, all you 4s. I do get excited when someone else says they're a 4.
Yeah.
But like Taylor, I love Taylor, and we relate in a lot of ways. There's a lot of similarities in us, and our trips to China, our fixation on language. It's our same fraternity, different colleges. That's crazy. You know, there's so many similarities there, but then there's also, I see a lot of differences. And a friend of ours, well, I don't want to name names. Another friend of ours that goes to church, she's a 4, but she's a whole different kind of 4 than I am.
Yeah.
And that's where it really gets interesting. And it makes me wonder, like, maybe I'm not a 4, but it also makes you think about 4s don't always look the same across the board. Yeah. And probably the same for any number, I'm sure.
For sure. And there are a lot of things that get layered on top of our number that can change how they're expressed. So like we talked about, like different diagnoses can affect that. Our past trauma can affect that. Our gender can certainly affect that. And, you know, where we live, the culture that we're raised in, like all of that. Our Enneagram type does not like get rid of all of that stuff that we've also got layered on top of it. It's just more layers. And yeah, there can be a huge variety in the way that a number is expressed externally, even if something similar is happening inside. Also, Lacey, I'm not trying to call your 9-ness into question. I've always perceived you as a 9, and you can always continue to be a 9, and I'm not trying to make you doubt yourself. Just some of your answers to some of those questions were feeling a little two-ish, and I felt like I owed it to the listener to say some of that sounds a little two-ish, but I'm not trying to say that you're a two, just for the record.
I appreciate it.
That is a close. That is a close call, though. Because I can see it go either way. 9 and 2.
And what I said about Christmas still stands true, that it's not your job to keep everyone happy.
Don't ruin this for me, Ben.
Yeah.
I had a good thing going.
Yeah. Well, and thankfully, like our we have gotten on a really good schedule when it comes to holidays and whatever. It just took a couple of years to hammer it out. But
we hadn't even gotten into the aspect of we're both middle children. So I had that too.
No, not birth order.
yes.
We got to talk about birth order.
Well, but also, and I know we're over time, but like the fascinating thing with the Enneagram to me is like when you're in seasons of growth and, seasons of shut and like all the different things and how, so Stephanie Stokes is also a 9. And we'll be talking and we'll be like, well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? And we'll call each other out and we'll say, hey, you're in 6 land. You're in 6 land. Come back to 9.
It's a scary place.
Yes. but I have a lot of 6s in my life and I love every single one of y'all so much. Like the 6s make me happy because y'all are prepared for everything. Like if I need a Band-Aid, if I need an answer, if I need life advice, I'm going to a 6.
A lot of people trust 6s. We just don't trust ourselves. Maybe we'll learn. Maybe we'll learn.
Well, we love y'all so much. So
Appreciate that.
Well, here at the end, since we're naming names, he's been a guest before, a very popular guest, Dr. William Gladstone. What would you peg him at? I know this goes against everything we've laid out.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that on a recording.
Just call. What do you think that is?
I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare.
He's not going to dare. I'm of all of them, I'm dying to know what his is because he's an enigma there.
Just Ben, thank you so
We'll
much.
have to bring him on next time, and we can
we'll
corner him, have an intervention.
Well, as we wrap it up, I'm going to steal your verse from last time you paraphrased. And let me see. I think, I'm going to back it up here a little bit. So it's Ephesians 4. Again, it's so hard to kind of tie all this up, but I think this is a good kind of just refocus and generalize, the whole purpose of all this and why it's important. And you gotta love Paul and his run-on sense. I hate coming in the middle of a sentence, but then I had to back up like 12 verses to get to the front of that sentence. But you know what? I'm just going to jump in here. You guys read Ephesians 4 for all the context, but I'm going to jump in right at here at verse 23. And that, man, I can't jump in at the end. Let's try. Here we go. We're going to jump in verse 20.
In case anyone didn't understand what you were describing of the foreignness and the complexity and the language, you're just playing it out for everybody so they can see it.
Paul, why you got to make it so hard on us,
Paul.
man?
He's a bit of a rambler.
Yeah, and I get in trouble for it because I have to read the whole sentence. I can't just read part of it, and I get in trouble for being long-winded. But let's start chapter 4, verse 20 from Ephesians. But you did not learn Christ in this way. If indeed you have heard him and have been taught in him, just as truth is in Jesus, that in reference to your former way of life, you are to rid yourselves of the old self, which is being corrupted in accordance with the lust of deceit, and that you are to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, which is the likeness of God, which in the likeness of God has been created in righteousness and holiness of the truth. And that's the thing, like I said about trying to identify my number, and I've learned a lot. I've been able to put, to voice a lot of feelings that I've had for so long, but it's frustrating. I bet any number, hearing your story, it can be very frustrating. It can be a long road, but there's a lot to be gained by that long slog, and I can attest to that.
Yeah, we can't heal what we can't name. And pretending it's not there isn't going to get us anywhere. So let's learn about it. Let's talk about it, and we're on this journey together.
Dr. Ben Harrison, everyone.
Ben, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you for the therapy session. So, no, we really appreciate it. And it is 10:30 at night. We are all tired, but we could talk about this for days and days. But
We may not see Ben back for a little while. He's probably had enough of it. Lacey is going to call and try to get him back on the show. I don't want to do another therapy session for Lacey.
No, I love it. This is I love this stuff. So happy to do it anytime.
Well, we appreciate you guys joining in too from all over the world. And guys, reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts, questions you have in the Enneagram. If you want to get in touch with Ben, we can make that happen if you just reach out to us. And well, again, thank you for joining a small group, and we'll see you next time. The Small Group Podcast is a production of GB&L. Find all of our current and upcoming projects as well as shop the GB&L store at goatbear.wordpress.com.